Hey, Lucky Talks. I'm Carl. This is David. We're going to go over a few topics today, discussing the NHL trade deadline, what the Vegas Golden Knights have done recently. A little bit, we're going to dive into the playoffs, some teams that are coming into it, and which teams will have the better chance of getting to the final. The last topic we're going to discuss today is the Broncos of the WHL, the Swift Current Broncos, facing a $2,000 fine, and against the Brandon Wheat Kings, which also faced a fine. We're going to dive into that a little bit later. But Dave, let's start off with talking about the trade deadline. The part I want to focus on today is the Vegas Golden Knights. They made a few acquisitions in the trade deadline this year. Got Noah Hannafin and a few other trades and different forwards as they have to add some guys while they put players such as Mark Stone on injured reserve for probably the remainder of the season. So, what are your thoughts on the Vegas Golden Knights kind of
Well,
doing
I
the
think I
fourth
think
playoffs?
you nailed it there. Like, what were the two, like Hannafin and Hurdle, I believe.
Hannafin and Hurdle are two
Han
bigger ones. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, Hannafin,
Hannafin and
and if
Hurdle are
we
two bigger ones.
recall what they and what I've seen anyways last year, if you recall why Vegas was such a good top contending team is they laid on the body. And I think that both those players are gonna assist in that. But I also think that Hurdle is gonna get their depth so that they have, I believe, four solid centers now. So once he's a part of the team, I think they have 20 games left of the season or so. Get their feet under them, and I can see them making it in the playoffs, anyways, for sure. And you make a good point actually about Mark Stone. What, like, that's a tactic it seems to be getting more common. Do you think they're going to keep him on injured reserve just so that they can squeak him in the playoffs
Well,
and put him back on the line?
if you look back at the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2021, I do believe it was, they had a bunch of Nikita Kucherov who had seemingly had back problems all the way up until the first playoff game, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden he was good as gold. And man, did he look good in that first playoff game. Did not look like he had any issues whatsoever. But as the rule states, there's no salary cap when it comes to playoff time. So if you guys have a bunch of players in injured reserve, there you can activate them again once playoff starts. So Vegas Gold Knights
Interesting.
kind of look like they are on that trend to do the same thing. We'll see what happens. They made a lot of huge acquisitions, and it will put them a lot over the salary cap once the playoffs start. So we'll see when Mark Stone comes back, but I would bet somewhere within the first couple of games of the playoffs.
Geez,
Um,
it's pretty interesting seeing them with these two acquisitions, and I don't know. I just think they fit so well, and with this Mark Stone news too, I could see them going very deep in the playoffs. And I mean, they are the Stanley Cup defending champions,
yeah,
so it's definitely gonna be exciting to see because I think they're in a wild card spot right now, right?
they are in a wild card.
Yeah.
I do believe they are on the last wild card spot right now.
Mm.
So they have some the work to do to make sure they stay in the playoffs. The following teams that are actually following them, I think, are a few points back, as far as I know. But there's
Well, hang on here. What do you think of the Jake Gensel going to Carolina?
Jake Gensel going to Carolina. I think great for Carolina. Pittsburgh, maybe not so much. I don't. I think there's bigger problems in Pittsburgh in trying to get rid of Jake Gensel. Okay, maybe it's a start,
Yeah,
trying
I
to get some
seen
draft
like they
picks and
got
stuff like
they
that.
got
But
four players. I think it was four players and a 2025 draft pick. Is that right? Do you
uh,
recall?
four players, yeah, something like that. Yeah,
And a
four
draft pick.
players
So it's
and
clear
and
they're
two
trying
first
like
round draft picks for 2024. So it's something. It's not bad, but
it's throwing
I,
pasta at the wall is what it is, seeing what
well,
sticks.
pretty much,
They're in
right?
desperation mode.
They're in desperation mode. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. Um, that being said, they got a couple first round draft picks. Um, so that's something out of that trade. But I think they have bigger issues, and they need to start looking younger. And with the whole Crosby, Letang, Malcolm, and well now Eric Carlson that has joined the crew from last year.
Yeah.
Um, they're a pretty old team, and their core for. It doesn't seem like they want to get rid of him. But like I said, we will see what happens. Speaking of playoffs, there are a few teams outside of the bubble. Pittsburgh is not one of them. Washington is usually a playoff team, but has been struggling as of late. OV is trying to find his goal scoring abilities that he's had in the past few years, chasing Gretzky's milestone. But right now, as you see, they're sitting outside of a playoff spot. What are the chances you think of Washington actually being able to pull this off and get back into the playoff spot?
How far out are Washington again?
Washington, right now, as we speak, they are sitting 3 points out of the
Like
last
on the
wild card,
brim.
right on the brim. So
Yeah,
they're just like
I'm a statistics guy, and I guess it's kind of like I think that's the same style person like Dubas is. So we'll see what he does in Pittsburgh. But aside from that, the way I see it is Ovi is going to find his stick again, and it's just going to happen. The longer he goes without finding it, it just means the more goals he's going to get at the post end of the season. So he'll find it when it comes, and I think
yeah.
just my opinion. I think Washington will be able to make the playoffs here. Other teams, though, I'm a little more worried about is Detroit when they have a 7-game losing streak.
Yeah. Detroit, they seem
There's a lot of
promising for a
frustration. There's
while.
a lot of frustration in there.
Well, exactly. Detroit seemed promising very well for a while there. They are on a 7-game losing streak. Hey, did you see their practice the other day? There's the fight broke up
Didn't
between
they
the two
break down in
players.
the middle of it or something? There's a lot
There,
of frustration.
there's a lot of frustration there. There's a fight that broke out between two teammates in practice there. So there's a lot of tension going on right now. They still
Yeah.
got a good shot at making it. But there was they need to get back on track and see and keep winning. But another team that looks to maintain is Tampa Bay Lightning. They've kind of fallen off a little bit. They're not as strong as the teams they used to be. Right now, they're sitting in the first wild card spot, which they're in the playoffs ahead of Detroit, which is actually sitting out of a wild card spot right now.
Yeah.
They're up by 4 points at the moment, but they're not quite the team they used to be. Why is that?
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Tampa Bay.
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, how many years in a row have they made? Like, what was the first year? When did they go out from Columbus Blue Jackets? Do you remember what
That
year that was?
I do believe that was probably 2018, I think.
Yeah, and ever since then, like, how many cups have they had since that? Was it just it's got
They won
a couple
two in a
years in a
row.
row, right?
Two in a row. Yeah,
Yeah. And
two in
so
a
I don't
row.
know, it's similar to the likes of Pittsburgh. You have all your stars for a while, and then eventually the chemistry goes away. I had heard even like players like Maroon had gotten traded away.
Yep, yep, yeah. Pat
So
Maroon,
when you're
Blake
Maroon the
Coleman.
buffoon.
Yeah. He's been on the move again here at the trade
But
deadline.
yeah, like I mean, what do you think? Like maybe this is the year where Toronto can finally end up beating them. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, they definitely don't seem as strong, but hey, Toronto won the first playoff matchup in a
They
long time
did.
last year, so they're
Yeah.
on the right trend, and hopefully they can do it, barring no stupid penalties again from Morgan Riley or any other team. Uh,
Yeah.
as for
But
that, yeah,
what do you think of Tampa Bay though? Yeah.
I think Tampa Bay is not as strong as they used to be. I think a lot of the players are
Taking
probably
off.
yeah getting older. They're not as quick as they used to be, right? So they gotta kind of reform that core, I think, a little bit and get a little faster, get a little younger. That's what every team wants to do, but I
Well,
think that's
do you think like the teams like Vegas Golden Knights, the fact that they're both fast and kind of like heavy and can throw their body around, but then there's also the other type of team where in my eyes I view it as like a maybe a New Jersey or like an Edmonton Oilers, and they're going for more speed. It's very interested to see which one will end up winning between those two outfits. And which one would you have deemed Tampa Bay as previously when they were making it the cup run every year, right?
previously I think Tampa was more like a Vegas style.
Yeah, I would say the same.
They were pretty heavy hitting, especially with Pat Maroon in the lineup. They're yeah, I think they're more like a Vegas style. And I think that's
Yeah,
why you see so much success out of Vegas right now, is because they are they are
they're still doing
hard
that.
hitting team. Like you can't push them around, right? They got a lot of big and strong guys out there,
It's
but
just
also they
funny
have a lot of speed. So it's
seeing
very hard to contain
the
them.
well, yeah, right. It's funny seeing those guys, and then usually the other team is, well, not usually, but sometimes they're faster, and like Florida and like Montreal, and you know, the Stanley Cup Finals a little more tilted towards the other direction, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So as long as teams can stay out of the penalty box, they got a lot of teams that like to fight and brawl their way through
Yeah,
things,
well,
right? If you got such heavy, hard hitting teams, there's going to be a lot of penalties. And if you keep taking penalties, that's going to cost you. But speaking of penalties, um, dipping into the WHL, the Broncos got fined $2,000. Also, the Wheat Kings were also initiated a $750 fine. The $2,000 fine was for $1,000 for inconclusive security. So apparently there was a garbage can that was thrown over the glass and into the player's bench. Apparently it broke multiple sticks and did some damage, but inadequate security is what
it
the
broke
thousand.
sticks.
Apparently it broke sticks.
How heavy was this garbage can?
I'm not too
Holy
sure,
crap.
but apparently it broke sticks, and they got the Broncos, Swift Current Broncos, got assessed a $1,000 fine for inadequate security, and also a $1,000 fine for other incidences on the ice for coaches and players. The Wheat Kings got
Mhm.
750 for actions of their players and head coaches as well throughout the brawls and the fights on the ice. I don't know. What are your thoughts of this? Is that a
Well,
fair
first of
assessment for
all,
the security being inadequate, or what do you think about that?
I think it's a slippery slope because at what point do you say that the security is good or not? There's some kind of I don't know, disconnect between what, in my eyes, the arena should be in charge of supplying, or the hockey team for security, but also like how come these adult people, like viewers of the hockey game, don't have any responsibility? I mean, they're the ones throwing the garbage can. Why aren't they the ones getting fined?
Yeah, and
And
maybe
I
they
get
are
it,
behind the scenes.
might not work like that, or maybe they need the security to escort them out. But I mean, if we can be honest, like they don't charge a lot for these hockey games in the first place. I mean, it's I don't know, it's a tough find for me to see. And then to hear that they ended up getting rid of that guy for 5 games. What was his
Yeah.
name there? Who was that? Yeah, Caleb
Uh,
Wirestoke, or however
okay.
you say it.
Yeah.
A 5 game suspension. So this guy is like a repeat offender, and he goes and he gets a penalty that game. And later on, they decide that they're actually going to give him a 5 game suspension. So it
Hmm.
wasn't even during the game, I don't believe, when they said that. It was afterwards. So it makes
Yeah.
me think:
Afterwards. So
is it just something that's happening because of all this other stuff that played out? And is this a play that the league is making to say, okay, guys, we all need to have better security at our games? Because I agree. I mean, I would hate if I was ahead of the guy and some guy threw a garbage can and hit me in the head.
oh, absolutely.
I mean,
I mean
I'd be
that should
livid.
never happen
And what if it
anyways.
hits? What
But
if you got a daughter or a kid or something like that, and it knocks them back?
yeah,
There's nothing you can
absolutely.
really do, you know.
Absolutely. As is
So
to getting a fine though,
I just
as inadequate security. I mean, that stuff happens usually pretty quick. Like fans' reactions, usually on an instant. Um, I mean, there
yeah.
might have been
So even
security
if there
around
was
there,
adequate
right?
security, would they be able to
To
get there in
stop
time?
that. Yeah. I don't know. Probably not. I mean, they might have if there's somebody around there, but I mean,
Or if there was
you're
adequate
not gonna
security,
load.
would the person have maybe second thought picking up the garbage can in the first place?
Yeah,
I
that
don't know,
could be,
a
but
lot of ifs and buts.
yeah, that there is. I feel like once people are in a state of mind that they want to do something, they're going to do it, right? It's
And
just
a lot of that
they're not
time
thinking.
resorts to
They're not thinking.
or
Their reactions are usually quicker than their thoughts. So, I mean, would more security help? Probably, but to say to give them a fine for inadequate security, I mean, maybe there was no security there. I'm not too sure, but I'm assuming there was somebody around there at some point. But that's
Yeah,
what
but at what point do we just say, parents and adults have some responsibility in this too? Because I mean,
yeah.
there's a line between being aggressive and being competitive. And when a player takes a penalty and there's a repeat offender and gets 5 game suspension, well, obviously the league is saying that you've crossed that line,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But at what point does the adult get any consequences for crossing that line?
Oh, exactly right.
And this
I mean,
happens everywhere too, even children's sports, when the parents start getting a little too crazy, in those arenas as well.
yeah.
It's like, well, how aggressive are we allowing the players to be? Especially because I mean they all brawled as well,
Yeah. Oh,
right?
exactly.
Like how
Exactly.
aggressive is aggressive enough? I know a lot of people like to see fighting in hockey, but at the same time, we also like to watch hockey, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So it's an entertainment. We'll see where they go with this. Um, I would imagine that things are probably not going to change in the near future, but we'll see what happens. But that is all the time we have for today. Well, I hope you enjoyed this first podcast of Hockey Talks, and we will see you next time. Have a good night.